Welcome to New Careers Academy, your trusted source for daily current affairs and defense exam preparation since 1967.
Is just not a border. It is India's test of strength. And 2027 is just not a date. It is China's self-declared milestone. That's next 2 years are critical for the region, for global security, and for India's strategic direction.
China just made a move that changes everything for India. For the first time, the US and Pentagon has confirmed that China now calls Arunachal Pradesh a core interest. That is the same strategy China has used with Taiwan, the territory China is planning to take over by 2027. Well, what does this mean? Let's explain you. It means China has placed Arunachal in a list of areas which it believes it has the right to use force if necessary. This is not just a diplomatic signal, this is a warning. Today, let's understand this Pentagon's report in simple language and what it means for India, for Asia, and for the world. Hello everyone, this is Hartaj and welcome to New Careers Academy. In this video, I'll be discussing about the recent report of US Department of Defense, which I'll be now referring as US DoD. Well, this report was in 2025 and it is on China. This report is presented every year to the US Congress and is considered the most important assessment of China's military power. The 2025 edition is significant for India because it admits officially what India has been warning for years. China's military modernization, border strategy, and political goals are all moving in one direction, that is the power projection. Let's decode it step by step. The first thing that we'll be discussing is China's new position on Arunachal Pradesh. The Pentagon says something which is very important. China now places Arunachal Pradesh in this category of core interest. So what does core interest actually mean in China's political dictionary? Well, it means no negotiations, no compromises, no backing down, even military action is possible. Until now, Taiwan was the biggest core interest. Now, Arunachal is being elevated to the same level. This signals a harder Chinese stance on first, maps, diplomatic statements, and border policy. It also includes infrastructure disputes, international pressure on India. This does not mean war is tomorrow, but it means China is preparing conditions so that India is always on the defensive. Let's discuss 2027 deadline. The Pentagon report reminds us about the 2027 goal of the PLA. The 2027, China wants its army to be ready to conquer Taiwan if necessary, block US intervention, and also dominate the region. It wants to pressure neighbors like India, Japan, and Vietnam. But here's a key line from the report. China's leaders remain unsure if they can successfully seize Taiwan when countering US involvement. This means China is preparing but not fully confident. So instead of a big attack, China may use tools like cyber warfare, trade pressure, propaganda, political interference, border provocations, infrastructure advantages, and grey zone tactics. In simple words, if I would describe it, China wants to win without fighting if possible. Now coming to India-China relationship. The report talks about the post-2020 disengagement across the LOC. According to the Pentagon, China wants to reduce tension only to prevent stronger India-US cooperation. India remains suspicious of Chinese intention. Mutual trust is still very low. The US believes China's long-term strategy is to keep India occupied on the border so that India does not rise as a global competitor. This is the reality. If India focuses on border issue, it gets less space to focus on economy, infrastructure, technology, global leadership. This is exactly how China wants it to be. And also, now let's discuss about the PLA modernization. Now we shall discuss about the military capabilities China is upgrading at a very high speed. AI-powered drones that can operate in swarms, hypersonic missiles that are almost impossible to intercept, new aircraft carrier Fujian with electromagnetic catapults, working on the 6th generation fighter jets, battlefield robots, biotech research for enhanced soldier performance, space-based communication system. Well, China's real defense spending is between $304 to $337 billion. This is 63% higher than what they officially announced. For comparison, India is around 83 billion and US is around 874 billion. China is now the second biggest military spender in the world, much closer to the US than anyone else. Let's also talk about the internal problems in China. But everything is not perfect on their side. The reports say that China is facing internal military instability. Jinping has removed Air Force generals, rocket force commanders, nuclear program engineers due to corruption charges. This is causing fear, instability, confusion in command structure, but also the long-term outcome could be more discipline, more loyalty. At the same time, it could also mean a stronger, cleaner military chain of command. So China is getting rid of corrupt officers to prepare for a modern war in one. What does this mean for India? This report basically leaves India with three priorities. Build hard power. Second, border infrastructure in Arunachal and Ladakh should be better. Missile system and surveillance. Local production of drones and aircrafts. Navy expansion in the Indian Ocean. And also, in terms of diplomatic balance, we are looking for engaging with US, Japan, Australia, France, strengthening the Quad network and Indo-Pacific partnership, maintaining independent strategy whether it is there or not. Moving on to internal strength, India is looking, people don't win wars, economies do. Manufacturing, semiconductors, startups, education and defense careers. Youth prepared with skills, discipline and awareness. India doesn't need to match China's weapon to weapon. India needs to match China rise through speed, focus and clarity. Because one truth is consistent. If India is weak, China will pressure. If India is strong, China will negotiate. So what's the final lesson from the Pentagon report? That's really important. China is preparing for future. The world is preparing for China and India must prepare for itself. Without fear, but without illusion. Arunachal is just not a border. It is India's test. Arunachal is just not a border. It is India's test of strength. And 2027 is just not a date. It is China's self-declared milestone. That's next 2 years are critical for the region, for global security, and for India's strategic direction. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember, knowledge is strength. Jai Hind. This is Hartaj signing off.